You know that's like
that's
it's our it's about a time to not to talk. We need a lot of support from our families.
Yeah.
It's gonna help us to grow faster, easier. Don't get me wrong. If you have a goal that you have nobody around you, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
what you gotta do, what you gotta do. But it would definitely give us the privilege to have a smoother journey when we have that surrounding support, right? How was it for you?
I think I'm really lucky actually that I have a really supportive environment. One thing I do find is that when I used to live alone, because I live with my partner.
Okay.
So when I used to live on my own, I was a lot more productive on the writing front. Because, you know, if something happened or I was thinking something and I'd sit down and I'd instantly pick up an instrument and I'd just be able to vent very freely.
Okay.
But I think when you live with someone,
although
it's not an invasion of privacy by any means, because you can still be in two separate rooms or whatever, you don't. I feel like I don't quite have the same. I don't know. I don't know if say confidence, because I don't think it's that I'm lacking the confidence to sit down and write, because I still do. But I think a lot of my evenings, I'm like, oh, let's spend time together and let's do stuff together, or you know, and so you don't have that same.
That's a very interesting thing.
Yeah, like internal. I'm doing everything for me, and it's, you know, you think you live your life with the other person when you live together. It's not just all about how you are going to spend your time and if you're going to write, if you're going to play.
That's actually one of the things that we talk about it on the podcast as well, because I assume it's a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
Especially when you have a partner. You think about them, right? It's totally natural, because even if they're in another room, right, and you're in your own room, after a few hours you just want to give them some attention, right? Because you feel that you're so selfish that you're just sitting there not giving them attention. But at the same time, it comes maybe with the other side of it, that you might not feel as creative, right, as when you're alone. Does that make sense?
It does.
So how do you balance it out?
Well, one of the things, so when we moved into the house that we're in at the moment, I was just feeling really uninspired, and, you know, we were kind of renovating it all, so everything was just a mess. And I said, I need one room where that is where I'm going to be creative. I need to make sure that I can go into this room and feel a spark of joy when I go in. Because I think in the whole house, I didn't have a room where I felt excited to be in it.
That separation is very important.
Yeah, separation. Yeah, absolutely. And so I kind of had this little side room in the house, and we decorated it and made it all as creative as possible. And that's where I film my podcast now, and I write stuff, and it's nice.
By the way, everybody, she's got a podcast going on. She's doing some brilliant work. I'm going to put the link down below in the description. Make sure you go down there, click on it, and listen to her and support her. Yeah.
Thank you.
Of course.
Yeah. And so that was a big thing, because suddenly I had a space again where I could be me. And when I went into that room, like, he would go off and, I don't know, play video games or do his own thing. And so we had our own time then to just do what we wanted to do. And as soon as one of us goes into, like, one of those rooms, then, that, you know, we know,
that's like,
it's
Please be quiet, Meta.
Yeah. It's about a time to not to talk.
Yeah, but it's nice because it's a respectful, like, you know, it's not like an awkward.
I think it's essential.
Yeah.
I think it's essential. Talking about this subject of social media, very hot topic, right? How do you do it?
Good question.
With today's pressure from left and right, you scroll and you see everybody's posting content like 5 times a day. They're on different platforms, from LinkedIn to you name it. They're going on Twitch and putting a live there. They're on TikTok. They're on Instagram. And it gives you a lot of pressure. So I should do more of this. I should do more of that.
I try and keep up, but it's intense.
Yeah, I mean, it can be brain mashing at the best of times, can't it?
Absolutely.
I think finding a way that works for you, not trying to compete with people. I find now, like, if I just document things about my life as they come naturally, then that's a good way of keeping people updated with what you're doing without it feeling forced.
Okay.
And also, but then you can, still keeping that little bit of privacy for yourself, but just somehow, just giving people a little sprinkle of like, I'm still alive, I'm still going on, and then when it comes to kind of release time and you've got like the new song or the new video, whatever, that's when I just absolutely explode on social media. So I either go like crazy 110% or just odd little bits,
Okay, that's actually a good strategy that I realize a lot of artists use it. They try to repurpose the content in different ways, some part of their life, as long as they're happy to show that content like on social platforms and show different aspects of their being, maybe their gym.
Well, personality nowadays, I think,
it's a big thing.
It's a massive thing. And I think personality can sell a lot more music than even maybe the music can sell itself. Yeah.
You can see on like on TikTok or in a lot of different platforms that somebody just like playing with a cat or their dog, and it just gets like millions and millions of attention. Right?
I mean, the one person who always springs to mind when I think about stuff like this is Lewis Capaldi.
I have never seen so many exposed penises in my life.
Because he's so funny.
Yeah.
And he really just has built himself up this huge fan base just because people love him for his personality. Whereas I think there are some singers out there who maybe don't show a lot of their personality, they don't show their personal life, and so I don't want to say that they're forgotten about, but compared to the people who really draw people in and make you feel like they're your friend, they're kind of almost put to the back of your mind, the people who don't do that as much. And it's really difficult if you're a very private person who doesn't necessarily want to share a lot about their life. How do you get people onto your side?
That was actually my question. How do you draw the line of private life and personal life?
It is a tough one now. I mean, there's not a lot of privacy nowadays.
Yeah, sure.
A lot. I do. I think about what I post. I do, and I think, I don't necessarily tend to post a lot of my holiday pictures or family pictures or anything like that. Like, to me, that's my experience, and I'll share maybe like odd nice things that are going to leave a nice impression, I guess, in a way. And I don't want to have the impact where I'm not a family friendly artist, I'm not saying like don't show bikini pictures and things like that, but that's just not me as an artist. That's just like not what I want to appeal to. There are young people that I appeal to, and I don't want to have that be that kind of role model. I want to be someone who is a free soul in other ways. I'm a creative, driven kind of person, and that's what I kind of want to portray, and so I show those things about my personal life. But I don't know, that's just how I naturally live my life anyway, and so a lot of just what I do naturally comes out in my social media post for that reason. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. How do you handle constructive, or maybe in some cases, because we don't know the other person who's commenting on our work, right? Maybe in some cases destructive comments. I can see that.
It's a tough one. I think everything on the internet you have to take with a pinch of salt. And you have to remember that this person doesn't know you.
Wait, is that supposed to be some kind of joke?
Just making sure.
I think it's really hard not to take things personally, because naturally we all want everyone to like us.
Approve.
That's it. And if someone doesn't like us, then that really knocks our confidence, because like, I'm just being me. Why doesn't this person like me? But you forget that this person is a stranger, and they're judging you entirely on this one thing. They don't know your backstory, they don't know your life, they don't know the decisions you've made to get to this point, the hardships you've faced, they don't know any of that. And people on the internet have no filter, they say what they see, and that's it. And so you almost just have to, as hard as it is, just ignore it. And it's hard, especially I think when it's like a very maybe specific comment on how you look or something like that, like things that you can't change about yourself, that's when it's difficult. And I remember putting a video up on, I can't remember if it was on Facebook or something like that, years and years ago, and it got tons of comments about my nostrils flaring. What? And I was just like, what?
Man, I'm almost talking to you. I can smoke you though.
I can't help that my nose moves when I sing. Like, leave me alone. And I just thought, I'm not even going to bother answering. You know, it's out of my control.
There is a saying that says any publicity is good publicity.
It is until it gets in here.
Oh yeah, that's very true. As long as you're able to manage it, it doesn't get to you.
Yeah.
It's perfectly fine, doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I think going back to your point earlier about what is happiness and why, how are you happy now? Like, that is a good point as to why I'm happy in the position I'm in now, and why big stadium gigs and big labels and things like that aren't necessarily what I think are happiness to me anymore, because I don't think I could cope with press 1 million times a day posting stories about me. I don't think I could deal with it, because I don't know, I like to make friends wherever I go. When I play a gig, I meet the people, I make friends with the people, and so every experience that I put myself into has always been a positive one, or I try and make it a positive one. And seeing like, you see these celebrities online and they're being ripped to shreds, and I don't know how they cope with it. I really don't know how they cope with it, because it's just toxic.
Yeah, sure.
And it should be illegal. You know, if you've got an opinion on someone, think whether you'd say that to their face. And if you wouldn't say it to their face, then just don't say it.
But have you noticed that brings a lot of traffic?
I'm sorry, what?
I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm not saying if it's positive or negative.
Yeah.
But I've noticed that brings a lot of traffic. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But it seems like negativity and hate brings more traffic.
Top secret.
Yeah.
Comparing to positivity.
People like drama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very true. That's very true.
We've built up a world where people live for the reality shows. And
Look at the movies that are out there.
I know. Yeah, well, everything now I think is just like exaggerated for entertainment purposes.
Yeah.
And that is filtering into life now. I mean, a really rubbish example, but you just have to think of like Coronation Street, like 40 years ago or however long it's been. Like when it first started, it was a very real life kind of program, and the big dramas in it would be that someone dropped a hot pot or something like that. You know, it would just be very realistic things that people could relate to, and that's why people watched it, because they could put their own lives to it. But now you watch Coronation Street and like 3 people are murdered a week and stuff, and so everything is just exaggerated, and we're constantly looking for a source of entertainment, and if we don't have like something crazy going on that we can grab onto, then life is boring. But it's not, you know. It's just that you can still be really content in just looking at the life you've got and the world around you and just being content with that. But we always outsource. We need extra drama in our lives to spruce it up and stuff. And I don't know, I think I'm just very content now with the life that I've got, and I don't need any extra drama. I'm not interested in extra drama.
I just can't. I can't.
Sam, tell me, how do you network?
A lot of it's social media.
Okay.
Social media or open mics. So I still like to go to a few open mics. I host a few open mics. And I really enjoy that, because when I go out to play a normal gig, it's just me and my engagement with the audience. Whereas at open mics, you get to watch other musicians, and then you can talk to those other musicians and find out how they write their songs, or what they're recording at the moment, or what journey they've been on. And you get to meet so many more people. And then they'll recommend you, or they'll keep you in mind for a future project, or vice versa. And I've met so many people that way. So many people.
Open mic, gigs,
yeah. Because even sound producers and things will go along to open mics and look for people they can work with. And so you meet so many people.
Sam, do you have plan B?
Plan B? Plan B? We need a plan C, D, E.
Not that I'm suggesting that it's not going to work, by the way. That's not my suggestion. But in the back of our mind, we always have our own doubts. Doesn't matter, I think, wherever we are in the ladder of success, there are times that we doubt ourselves.
Is that really necessary?
Yep.
And we think that, oh, should I go to a 9 to 5? Should I do this? Should I have done it like differently? So, do you have plan B?
No.
Okay, that's good.
But when it was in the lockdown, the pandemic lockdown, I ended up having like a little job on the side of my music when my music went very quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And it only confirmed to me that I really couldn't do a normal job in the future. Because I work for myself doing music and I can work at my own pace and so I couldn't not do that going forward. And so I think if I wasn't doing music, I'd still have to do something creative and work for myself in some way or another.
It would be something related to art and being creative.
Yeah, probably like interior design or like a wedding planner or something. I don't know, because I love those kind of things.
Interesting.
But yeah, so it'd be something creative. Yeah, it'd have to be.
Tell me about struggling times.
I mean, the biggest one that comes up for me right now is when I lost my dad. And I lost my dad in the lockdown.
Wow, during COVID?
Yeah. And
was it because of COVID?
No, it was very sudden. So my dad was very healthy, very active, and just his heart stopped. Simple as that, and gone in 5 seconds. And it completely turned my life around. That's the hardest thing by a mile I've ever had to go through. And I think even now, I still get like, I still fall into the pits of it sometimes, you know? Like absolutely. Even on the way here, one of his favourite songs came on the radio and I was like, You never quite, get over something like that. But that has been the biggest emotional journey for me. Huge. And I think I stopped music, I stopped everything because I couldn't function. And my dad was very involved with my music, and so whenever I even picked up a guitar, I just cried. I couldn't because it just made me think of my dad. And it just felt like I'd been robbed of everything, not just my dad, but my love of everything in my life. It was a strange thing to even put into words.
Wow, that's very hard. How do you cope with such a thing? How do you do it?
I don't know. I mean, especially in lockdown, because I was on my own. I was living on my own at this point, and I ended up phoning the doctor, and I was just like, look, I need help. I don't know what to do at all. I don't know how to help myself. And the doctors were just a nightmare. I think they were probably inundated with a lot of people that they were trying to support as well.
Of course.
And it ended up being, I think, was it like 6 or 9 months before I got any help? And when they finally phoned me back to say, do you still need some help? And I said, yes. And they said, right, we want to recommend you to a charity. So they couldn't even give me any help themselves because they didn't have that support available. And they referred me to a bereavement charity. And I had some group support sessions with this charity, and that was a very big thing, I think, in helping me overcome it, because it was the first time I'd talked to anyone about what had happened, and the first time I talked to other people who'd gone through the same thing, because I was 25 and none of my friends had lost their parents before, so I couldn't talk to anyone about it. No one understood. And even the people who maybe have lost grandparents or things like that, it's not the same. I mean, my dad was like a very big figure in my life, and I've lost grandparents, and I've lost my auntie who I lived with and things like that. Like, I've lost people, but my dad was a whole different experience.
It depends on the relation.
It does.
And it's different for every individual.
Yeah. You're
Yeah,
right.
I agree 100% because I think that is something that a lot of people go through and they lose their loved ones.
Yeah.
And as you said, obviously, the more impact that they have in your life, it's going to hit you harder,
Yeah.
right? And so, what was going on in your mind? How did you process it? How did you lift yourself back up to carry on as normal?
Yeah, I think talking in the group sessions, that was the first step. And just getting it out and being able to have that kind of understanding. And then with music, I knew I couldn't pick up my guitar because that would just make me think of my dad. But I was like, I can't not do it. This is something I've always loved doing. I can't just put this away forever.
Okay.
And so I got out an old piano,
Mm-hmm.
and although I do have a little attachment with the piano to my dad, like from when I was a kid and he'd teach me odd things, I don't have that full attachment because guitar was more what I'd associate with my dad, oddly. And so I had this separation with the piano where I could actually try and do a bit of music again without getting too upset about it. And so I'd do a little bit a day and just sort of ease myself back into it until, sometimes it'd be too difficult and I'd just cry and I just couldn't mentally take it in. But eventually I did a little bit more and a little bit more, like even just like playing things out of songbooks, not writing, just literally playing stuff so that I was doing it and listening to it again, because I didn't listen to music or just like nothing. I had no music at all. And eventually I one day had this burst of inspiration again out of nowhere I was like, I just need to vent my thoughts right now. And I ended up writing a song, my first song since I'd lost my dad, and it was on piano. And I had this euphoric feeling of like, it's coming back. I'm not damaged, it's back.
Still working.
Yeah. And that was a big thing then. I was like, I've done it once, I can do it now. And then I think I gradually ended up with my guitar again. And then the lockdown lifted for a little while and I got a gig booked in. And I played this gig, and it was the first time I played a gig since it had happened. And that was really overwhelming. And I got on the stage and I just cried. And then I've gone from playing, 3-4 gigs a week, and then I suddenly just can't even play one. But it's the more I did it, I was like, I need to do it. And so I'd go to an open mic or I'd do something to ease me back in. And eventually I managed to get back into the swing of things again.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for people like you who come to the podcast and they talk about their deep and personal experiences. I think it would give a lot of people who have similar experiences in their life a bit of a hope as well, that although those people are important in our lives and we lost them and we're not going to be able to see them again, but there are people out there like me who have the same kind of feeling, and it would definitely help them to, in their journey, to get back up again and carry on with life. And I really appreciate that. Thank you.